Hello, hello. This is Nancy Juetten, and I am the creator and the leader of the Love Your Business, Love Your Life Inner Circle. And this is an initiative that I started about a year ago with the idea that I would create an intimate, curated, connected, supportive, and safe community for people of like mind and like audience to come together to mastermind around how to solve big problems in their business, how to get over situations when life hits the fan because it always does, how to create an environment where we would all find natural JV partners among and between us, and that we would even do business with each other. It was an opportunity for us to really link arms and link networks and do everything we can to each other as we could be each other's wagon to circle to grow our businesses and love our lives. And I have to say that it's one of the most rewarding journeys that I've ever taken in my 22 years of doing business, because I've been so blessed to be in the company of such remarkable people. And we're at a place now where we're ready to expand the circle to include a few more amazing experts to join us. And I thought, what better way to entice you to consider this opportunity than to meet the people who are already a part of it, to find out why they're here, why they stay, and where their wins have been, both tangible and intangible. So with that as an introduction, who would like to go first and say a few words?
Sure, I'll step in.
Great. You are.
Yeah. Sorry, Lindsay, and I am a podcast leveraging and repurposing expert. And for me, Nancy, I mean, I've known you for a while and I've had you on my podcast. I loved your charisma, your kindness, your smarts, and your marketing. But what hit me is your way that you wanted to pull this group together. And it was about not doing launches and not burning yourself out, feeling like you have to be everywhere all the time, doing all the things. And like I was feeling burnt out. I was exhausted and feeling like, oh, well, I'm not doing Facebook ads. Well, I'm not doing webinars. I'm not doing this. And then you beat yourself up. And I'm like, there's got to be an easier way. And so when I forget the concept, but your cocktail napkin of like pulling all these, you'll explain it better. And if you can do that afterwards, that would be great. But like pulling people around you that have parallel businesses that you can collaborate with, get ideas from, support you, network, referrals, all of those things. I'm like, that enticed me the most.
Well, since you brought it up, it's called the Hollywood Squares,
Yes.
and it's where you put a tic-tac-toe board together and you put yourself in the center and you envision, what if you were 1 degree of separation from 8 amazing complementary experts that you would feel like, trust, and respect, and maybe even love towards, that you would naturally and easily want to do business with, make referrals to, and joint venture with. And when you really drill down on who those people are, the roles that they play, and the impact that they have, all of a sudden you have access to many, many more people that could possibly benefit from your product, program, or service. And that is exactly what I did when I curated this group. Is I set myself in the center of a Hollywood Squares, and I asked myself, who do I want to be aligned and connected with? And all of you came forth, and it's been a blessing for all of us. So speaking of blessings, Lindsay, have you welcomed any new clients, any new referrals, any new business as a result of being in this group?
100%. And I feel like everyone in the group is so genuine, so giving. It's easy to look at some of you and be like, I am not worthy, and feel a little intimidated, but everyone is so generous with their time, sharing their list, whether it's, sharing a lead magnet here or there or making connections. I've had wonderful referrals and, created so many wonderful relationships, grown my business dramatically and gotten a ton of referrals that were like my perfect ideal client. and who I love and adore and want more of. So to me, it was like a super win-win.
Very good. And whatever it is that you invested to be a part of it, have you gotten your return on investment without question?
Oh God, yeah, absolutely.
I love to hear that. So Jay Fairbrother, who are you and what calls you to join the inner circle in the first place?
I'm Jay Fairbrother, the Mastermind guy, and Nancy Juetten personally invited me to her Mastermind. And I'm already in many masterminds, and I run several of my own. And so when she asked me to participate in her Mastermind, my first reaction was, I don't have time. I don't have the money to invest, and made all kinds of excuses. But Nancy was very persistent, and the warmth and the sorry, Nancy was very Nancy was very persistent, and it was the warmth in which she made the invitation and the knowledge that I had that she would only invite people into the group who were totally heart-centered, totally in it for the right reasons to help support each other and help each other grow and thrive, that I knew she'd create an incredible group. So I was happy to say yes and jump in, and I'm so glad I did.
So what has happened, both tangible and intangible, in your business as a result of being in relationship with this amazing cohort of remarkable people?
Since I've been in the mastermind, I've, sorry, let me start over. Since I've been in the mastermind, the group has supported me in ways that are hard to even articulate, just in terms of, having a forum to talk about things when they don't go well, disappointments in my business, and being able to have a warm supporting group to come in and get feedback and encouragement and accolades for the things that are going well. I think that I have I've also received introductions from almost everyone in the group to people that I ended up connecting with and starting relationships with that have been very helpful. I've actually picked up a couple of clients as a result of participating in the group directly. And Nancy, her ability to connect you with the right people, not just any people, but the right people, is really one of her superpowers. And anyone who's connected with Nancy, I know, comes from a warm, heart-centered space. These are people that have real expertise, aren't just out there to make a quick buck, and are really there to serve and better the world.
What would you say to someone who was considering joining this group as compared to a much larger group, for example? Because one of the things about this group is it's intimate and connected and small. What are the advantages of being in a smaller group is the question.
One of the reasons that I immediately said yes to Nancy to join this group was knowing that she was going to create it as a true mastermind, as a small, intimate group where we can develop respect, have confidentiality, learn to trust each other, and be supported by that intimate invite-only group, as opposed to some of the larger masterminds that are out there where you don't get to develop real relationships. It's more of a networking environment. And in Nancy's group, we get to go to much deeper levels and talk about the real issues that we have.
Do you feel safe being able to share vulnerable truth about your business in this group?
I've shared many things in Nancy's group that I would be hesitant to share in larger groups, knowing that I'm in a space where people are going to be non-judgmental and supportive, and willing to do anything they can to help me through whatever issues I'm going through.
And with regard to the caliber of the members that we're lucky enough to be surrounded by, do you feel inspired, encouraged, and motivated by the initiatives that each of the fellow members are pursuing? Do you feel there's enough common ground? What are your thoughts about that?
Nancy only invites badasses into her group.
Nice.
Well, Jay, those are awesome comments. Thank you so much. I'm so honored that you said yes. And I would also add that I was also being very deliberate about bringing you to the group, because leading a mastermind is a somewhat new endeavor for me. And what a benefit to the entire group to have the mastermind guy among us, because I can go offline and say to you, something happened in the mastermind that was an unfamiliar scenario for me. How do you feel that I handled it? How do you feel I should handle it in the future? And you've been very forthcoming and suggesting ways I can lead more powerfully and be more inclusive and these sorts of things. So you've really helped me sharpen the saw just by your presence in the group, and I'm very grateful. So thank you for that. Mark, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, I'm back, and I would love to share my, but
So for those who don't know
just to
you,
start off with,
yeah, introduce yourself, please.
right.
Won't you please
Okay,
introduce
well, so my
yourself?
name is Mark Porteous. Obviously, there's a little bit of lag here, so I apologize. I'm using a hotspot for my phone. So my name is Mark Porteous, and I am a joint venture strategist, also known as the Soul Connector. I really focus on helping transformational leaders to create conscious collaborations so that they can reach a bigger audience, make a bigger impact, and obviously create greater abundance and freedom in their lives. And really, my whole business is around building relationships that are aligned. So right from the beginning, I've known Nancy for going on 10 years and felt an instant alignment and was an instant champion. Like Nancy is great at championing the people that she loves and respects and the people that add value to her community. And so I saw that, I saw her doing that for other people. And within a year of our relationship, saw her doing that for me. And over the last 10 years, Nancy has been one of our greatest champions. Last year, winning our most valuable partner award for the Soulful Leadership Retreat. But it goes way beyond just bringing wonderful people to our event, many of her inner circle and the people that she really loves and trusts as well. But the way that all of those people show up is very unique and different, and it again changes the energy in the room. And as Nancy said herself, she leads this mastermind by example, showing up in service, trying to give as much as possible and creating that law of reciprocity. So again, Nancy leads this mastermind, her inner circle, through example of generosity and really brilliance, not only with her words, but with her heart.
Oh, that's so good. That's so
Mhm.
lovely. Thank you. Now, have you welcomed introductions, referrals, or new business that you can measure in your balance sheet because you've been a part of this group?
Well, again, bringing people directly into our annual retreat is invaluable. So, we always love that. And it's the direct introduction. So a lot of our work in this industry is around, I'll promote you and you promote me, and that's awesome and wonderful. But a direct introduction to a transformational leader who's aligned with my vision and my values is absolutely priceless in my role. It's the most valuable thing that I have to offer other people. And so I really value that as well. And yes, some of my favorite people in my life came through Nancy. So again, it's hard to put a price tag on that. And yes, we've had revenue from our events and from people joining our group. Nancy's been a part of our mastermind for a long time, and I've been leading masterminds for 11 years. It's really nice to be in somebody else's container So when you're leading and holding that container, it takes a lot of effort and energy. And Nancy, you do it so well for saying that, this is something that might be a new venture for you. You have been leading groups in a very beautiful way for a long time. And the way that you show up is one of the things I love about the mastermind is you really make sure each of us on each call receives value, but also gets an opportunity to contribute to everyone else in the group. Some leaders like to be the only ones to contribute because yes, you're wonderful and brilliant, but the whole idea of a mastermind is the brilliance of the entire group.
That's a beautiful comment. Mark, is there anything unexpected and welcome that has unfolded for you that was beyond your expectations for being in this particular group?
Well, again, I joined because of loving you and the people that you draw in, and having that safety. It takes some amount of faith and trust, even when and love and trust somebody, to go into a group and to be able to open up. And yeah, the way the depth that we're able to go in this group, not only in growing our business, but the name of the group is Love Your Business, Love Your Life. And if you love one and you don't love the other, it's not much fun.
Very, very good. Anything else you want to say? I'd like to ask you, just to go a little deeper. You do lead a mastermind that has 30 to 40 members that are very high level. And you also belong to this very intimate group that I lead. And you were making the suggestion that it's great for you to have a group that you can show up and be supported without having the responsibility of leadership. What's that really like for you? To have a small, intimate group that you can participate in and gets value instead of being responsible for leading?
There's a couple of things there. One is, I also believe that just because you're in one mastermind doesn't preclude you from being in another. I've been in more than one mastermind at a time. There are some people, you're in more than one mastermind. We have other people in the group. But when you host a mastermind, again, there's a lot of energy, time that it takes to be able to hold that container. And we get a lot of value in return from it. We love and support you in any way that we can, but there's something about being in someone else's container without the responsibility where you can just work your receiving muscles that doesn't happen in a group when there's 40, 50. I know there are wonderful masterminds out there with over 100 amazing transformational leaders, but like many of you other people have said, it's just not the intimacy, and you can't get the depth and the support when you have this kind of a group.
Well, thank you so much for your comments. I'm so honored that you joined and you bring so much value to the group. And I'm really proud that I'm a member of your MetaMind. And this will be I think I'm moving into my 3rd year as a member of your mastermind. And I think that our relationship is an example of when you meet people that are like you're supposed to know them, you just do everything you can for that person because that's just the way you're wired. And we're so lucky to be modeling that, demonstrating that, and setting that as an example that other people can aspire to. And I think that's really beautiful. So thank you so much for your
You are very much setting an example for a new way of leading and a new way of being in business. And I thank you for that.
Wow, thank you. So Diana, what would you like to say? Please introduce yourself and tell us why you joined, what value you get, et cetera, et cetera.
I'm Diana Needham from Business Book Partners, and I help entrepreneurs and business leaders create, publish, launch, and leverage a book that matters. One of the things that attracted me to this group is some of the experiences that I've had in other groups. There are all sorts of options out there of programs that you can join. And this group is called Love Your Life, Love Your Business for a reason. A lot of the programs that I've been part of have been focused solely on strategy without any sort of element of finding some kind of balance and making sure that you do love the way your life is going as well as the business growth. So over time, I've invested in a lot of programs, and I can say that this one has exceeded my expectations on every front.
Wow, that's high praise. Can you get more specific about tangible and intangible benefits?
Yeah, sure. So this group is a true community where all members support, encourage, care deeply about the success of the other members. It's a safe container where we can come and share and be very vulnerable about what is really going on behind the curtain. Things that we would, I know for me, I've shared things in this group I have not shared with anybody else. And things are not always rosy. So having this safe container where we can come and share openly and honestly, knowing that the level of trust in this group is literally off the chart. And I so value and appreciate that. I've also received referrals inside the group and recommendations and introductions from Nancy to people that I probably would not have access to without being part of her circle.
And some of those folks have turned into very lucrative clients for you.
Some of the connections have not only become clients, now they are referral partners for me. So based on the experience that they had with me, they're sending people to me to talk about their book projects.
And something about the work that you do, there are many book marketing mentors out there that lead large group leverage programs where people are guided down a journey to Amazon #1 bestseller status. And one of the ways that you set yourself apart is that you work with people one-on-one in a boutique style fashion. And that is a really important point of differentiation. And so knowing that about you, I'm able to make those kinds of powerful introductions to people who, for whatever reason, the group thing is not their thing. And there have been a couple of situations where I have, been, few people have been calling it the notorious Nancy nudge. The notorious Nancy nudge. And there's one particular person who was saying that he needed to get his book done and is needed to get his book done. And I said, well, you need to be talking to Diana. You need to be talking to Diana. Here we are 2 weeks ahead of the launch. The launch is falling apart. Why haven't you called Diana? Somehow Diana comes in the clutch moments and saves the day and creates another Amazon #1 bestseller in the clutch moments, breaking her record of 125 and growing. And I'm thinking to myself, maybe my notorious Nancy nudge wasn't aggressive enough, but I'm glad the guy finally listened and got the message.
Yeah, sometimes there's this moment of realization. I remember the call that I got from this particular person, and he basically said, Nancy told me to call you, and I do what Nancy says. So here I am. It's time for me to talk to you about my book and about my launch, because it is totally off the rails. We're launching in 3 weeks, and I have no idea what to do.
So what's it like for you to have a champion like me or champions like our other fellow members in your corner and by your side, calling your name out as the go-to resource for this kind of support?
I have to say that this group is unlike any other that I've ever been part of. I have been in many business coaching programs. I have been in all sorts of groups, and the level of, it's almost hard to describe, like the level of support and caring and encouragement and introductions. I honestly never miss a call because this group is so important and so precious to me.
Well, that is very high praise. And I will tell you that as the leader of the group, I'm always very rewarded when I open up the Zoom room and every single person is in place. And I think that speaks to the value of the community that we built and why we want to expand the circle to invite a few new amazing experts to join us. So Diana, anything further you want to say before we invite the next person to comment?
One other thing that I'd like to add is that this is a safe container for us to come and get support. Nancy is amazing at looking at your copy, helping you work through challenges, very open to personal calls, and being able to bring to the group some thorny issue that when we are in the heat of it, we don't know what to do next. We don't know how to proceed. And every single person in this group contributes and helps me see a different way to look at it and give me ideas on how best to manage it. And then we get to celebrate the success in the next call.
Awesome. Well, I'm so honored that you said yes and that you've been such an active and powerful member and have given so much value to all of us. So thank you, Diana Needham, book marketing mentor, business book partners. If you're meeting her for the first time and need one-on-one support getting your book launched to number one, consider yourself blessed to now know Diana Needham. So Tim Wade, how about you? Won't you please introduce yourself and share a little bit about your experience in the group?
Love to. Hi, I'm Tim Wade. I'm a relationship and confidence coach for men, and I help men become the best versions of themselves as husbands, fathers, partners, and friends.
Beautiful.
And I've been in the coaching solo entrepreneur community for, it's going on 15 years now, amazingly. And I have known Nancy for a good amount of that time and always respected and admired her, but never gotten to work consistently with her. And so when she asked and invited me to be part of the Love Your Business, Love Your Life small group cohort, it was an immediate hell yes. I had no idea that it was going to be even better than I ever expected. I run actually I co-lead three different groups, one small group and two large groups. At this point, I've done a lot of those type of things, so I can be a bit of a tough customer when it comes to this kind of thing. And this group exceeded my expectations by leaps and bounds, I have to say. Why? First of all, because they say that the culture of the community comes from the top down. And so the way Nancy is, the way she shows up, the way she leads, the way she teaches and gives with such generosity, not only does she set the tone, but then everyone else is raised. It's that the rising tide raises all boats. And so everyone is encouraged and to step up in that way and be incredibly generous and incredibly open. I would say that she curates this group like nobody I've ever met. She picks and invites amazing people. I would call them big-hearted badasses. My friend Jay says they're badasses, and I would just add the big-hearted part because they all are. And they are all powerhouses in their own right. They are all extremely successful. And yet this is not a place to puff up and need to look perfect and need to, compete with anyone. There's no competition here whatsoever. And instead, there is just, I want you to win. Whatever you're working on, I want you to win. How can I help you win? And if you're struggling, there's no judgment. There's no chiding or wagging of fingers. There's no, well, you know what I do, and anything like that. Just sharing, just really saying, hey, here's something that might help. Here's a person that I can introduce you to. Here's a software that I have used and you might want to try. Whatever it is, they're there to help. And having been in these type of groups for a long time, the unique generosity is really something. And dare I say, it's a group that really evinces love to each other. I really mean that in the most sincere way, that these aren't just colleagues. These have become my friends and in some cases partners and whatever else. in business and in life. So love your business, love your life. Absolutely, 100%. It isn't one or the other. It is the both and of that, which means that we can also come to this group and say, hey, this has nothing to do with my business. I'm actually, struggling with a balance issue in not being able to be the best father I want to be and still succeed in my business, would be an example. And it's completely appropriate. And everyone has something good to say or helpful to say for those kind of subjects as well, which makes it a group that I won't miss if I can at all help it. It has to be an emergency for me not to show up and to be here. Everyone knows in my family is like, oh yeah, that's sacred time. And it goes in the calendar, and there are no clients, there are no nothing to take over that time period. I also want to say something about Nancy and the way she leads. Not only does she lead from the front, she also is there side by side with you. And what I mean by that is she's doing and what we're all doing. She's not just sitting back like a guru in her armchair and saying, well, back in the day. She's in it. She's a peer and a leader at the same time. And so she brings to us, hey, here's what I'm trying. Here's what I did. Here's what worked. Here's what didn't work. Again, she's not trying to brag or needing to look perfect, have all of the answers. Like any great mastermind, she's going to say, what else does anyone have to offer? What else does anyone have to add? And that makes this experience so rich, and we get to participate in each other's businesses, even if it's just having our presence and our good wishes there.
Beautiful comments. I'm so honored by them. And I also want to know, you're doing business now with a couple of members. Isn't that true?
Yes, I like I said, I've forged relationships with these people that I'm going to be just about to start working with Jay. Vicky and I have gotten an amazing, deep, I would call it, we're like, brother and sister from different mothers. And that's been so rewarding. To go to Mark's Soulful Leadership Conference retreat and get to meet some of the people in this group face to face and hug to hug. So rewarding. And it just makes it, so him providing that is we're sort of like a satellite group, I feel, for his work. And so, yes, I could mention everyone working with Amy. And so, yes, all of the synergy, I guess is the good word that people use. Synergy is so amazing. And I have been introduced to numerous people now through the generosity of this group that have helped my business, that have even just in the last week connecting with a few people who are in my arena. And it's been meaningful and wonderful, and it wouldn't have happened otherwise. I would not have just randomly wandered past these people.
Well, those are beautiful comments. And I want to add one, which is when I started this group, one of the concepts that was on my mind was this idea of sustainable generosity. Because those people who are generous, sometimes we are generous to a fault, and sometimes we can be generous and become depleted because that's just the way we're wired. And I thought, how could I create an intimate container of amazing people where I could offer a slice of my heart to each one of them and open up my network to each one of them and interview them on my YouTube channel and do everything that I can through content repurposing with Lindsay Phillips' expertise to elevate their star on the rise and get more eyeballs on their expertise. How could I make all that happen in a sustainable way where I wouldn't feel depleted? And what I would like to share is that every single Wednesday that we get together, it's twice a month, every Wednesday from 9 to 11 a.m. Pacific. It's like the best part of my month to get to meet with all of y'all. And I know that when I get out of bed in the morning and I put both feet on the floor, your names are all like written on my hand. And I'm thinking, what can I do for Lindsay today? What can I do for Diana today? What can I do for Tim today? How can I help Amy today? I'm thinking about you all the time because it's enough of a group that I can make that commitment without getting overextended. So this idea of sustainable generosity is sort of baked into one of the benefits that is part of the program, which is I'm going to watch your webinar. I'm going to show up for your live call. I'm going to come into your live chat. You'll know that I'm there. And I hopefully that it makes an impact for you, how well you feel seen, heard, and supported on your journey.
There's another thing I want to mention, and that is that Nancy knows her stuff. Oh my God. Her ability to, in the moment, listen to something that you're presenting or look at your web page or look at your media bio and just go, hey, you know what? And then the light bulb, you can see it above her head that she has an idea. And it's always amazing. A turn of phrase, a way of rearranging something so it's more impactful. And you get that all the time. It's not just like, yeah, we do that, every other month for 5 minutes. It's just she can't help but give, I can tell you that. And so that's another and a wonderful thing. And for anyone who would be considering, if you have the opportunity to be invited, if you're considering being part of this group, understand that Nancy does choose very carefully, so you will know that you'll be a good fit in the group if she's invited you. My business is a little different than most in that I'm not a business to business group, or I mean business to business. That's a lot of words, business in a row. Instead of I'm a business to customer, and so, but I don't feel out of place. There are a lot of coaches who, are in this group who get a lot of help with their coaching business, and I do too. But you don't have to feel like, well, maybe I don't have the right business or I'm not in the right thing. Let Nancy decide that. And then if she invites you, I would, run, don't walk to the entrance.
Oh, thank you so much. Tim, being a world-class relationship coach for men, we're talking about loving your business and loving your life. And this group is half men, half women. We all have relationships. All of our relationships are the foundation of what is the cornerstone of our happiness. And having someone like you in the group that can help us look at things in a fresh way. I mean, love your business, love your life. If you've got a great business and your husband or your partner won't talk to you or your kids won't talk to you, you don't really have much success.
Right.
So you bring a lot to the group. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
So Vicki, how about you? Would you like to introduce yourself and share a word or two?
I would love to, Nancy. My name is Vicki Della Gioio. I'm a presentation skills and storytelling coach, specifically looking at how to tell stories for speakers. I'm also a Qigong master teacher. These days, I've been working with visionary transformational speakers like lawyers, judges, healers, artists, to tell their stories in out-of-the-box ways so their audiences remember their message. And I think what's unique about the work that I do is that I've taken over 50 years of experience in the Qi or energy and arts field, as well as being a theater director and performer, as well as a speaker myself. And I've combined the skills of both worlds to really empower speakers to step into the spotlight, stand out, and deliver the message with passion, presence, and power so that they can make the impact that they want to make. Being in Nancy's group has been really an amazing journey for me. First of all, the reason I first came, I've known Nancy for, I think about 10 or 15 years ago. I was doing big Qigong events with 100, 200 people. So she helped me with my marketing. So originally it was just Nancy as the wordsmith for anything that I would ever want to do. Then as I joined a couple of other groups and then ended up here in this mastermind, it feels like it's a personal journey as well as a professional one. So there's a way in which, for me, even though I've been very steeped in my work, I've been doing it for over 50 years, I have these times where I go into these dips, and the dips are not just say that business isn't doing, Jay talked about disappointments. It's not just, that I'm disappointed about something, but I go into sort of an internal thing. And one of the things that I love about Love Your Business, Love Your Life is that there's a way in which I, in this group, have the opportunity to be very transparent about that, very vulnerable about that. And it gets me back to the loving my life, because there are times when I feel like, oh, I don't know if I can do this anymore. I go through all kinds of inner stuff. And this is a place where I feel like I can do that without not only not feeling judged, but not feeling like people are going to push their agenda or their solution for me, but rather be present and then offer helpful suggestions, offer different ways in which other people have experienced some of the same. So it really breaks down the isolation, because I've been in my business for as long as I have. I've done it as a lone wolf. I've always just done it my own way. I've sort of reinvented the wheel again and again. Here, I get a chance to hear from people who are way more expert than I am in certain areas, get feedback from people. For example, recently did a webinar, got some very helpful feedback from people. So it's been an amazing thing. And then as other people have said, the relationships that have developed have been very deeply meaningful.
What does it feel like when you have a champion show up for you in a larger context to beef you up?
It's an amazing thing. So Nancy has this incredible ability to hear you, to meet you where you are, to really see what it is that needs to be lifted up. So when I have been in many different contexts where Nancy has chimed in something about me in a way that I would barely or not even feel comfortable saying about myself. So there's a way in which her reflection, her thoughts about how you are in your work comes forward in a way, and Nancy, if you know her at all, you know that she is a master at turning a phrase, at creating amazing sound bites. She brings that with a heart of generosity and also genuine, authentic appreciation. She's not just blowing smoke. There's depth here. So having a champion show up, I know she just did that for me the other day. And it was just like I was starting to feel myself sink. She started saying, who we have in the room here is this and Vicky Lott. And all of a sudden it was like, oh yeah, it brought me back to center. And when I'm in my center, that's when I'm in my most powerful place. So having somebody that's an advocate, that's an ally, it's like Tim said, or one of you said, side by side, as well as behind support, and as well as a leader of a mastermind that's really looking at how can we all be as generous as possible. It's invaluable. It's absolutely invaluable.
What would you say to someone who was on the fence about joining us?
If you're on the fence about joining us, I encourage you to just leap over that fence. I think that there's no way you could go wrong. If Nancy's invited you into this group, it means that you belong here. It means that you have something to offer and that you have something to gain, that you will receive way more than you think. Nancy's incredibly generous with her time, her energy, her advocacy. So don't stop. Like Tim said, run, don't walk. Join this group, because you will get return on every level, not just in terms of your business, but you'll also get return in terms of really knowing and seeing and connecting with people on a whole other way that we don't usually get to do in our businesses. We don't usually get to be transparent. We don't usually get to have that vulnerability. So even though this isn't a therapy group or something like that, it's one where true support can come for you. And that's, I think we all need that. We're not meant to do this journey alone.
That's so beautiful. I want to chime in and say that I've also invested in a lot of programs over the last 15 years and invested meaningfully in a lot of different things and have accomplished a fair degree of success and built a nice reputation for myself. But sometimes in other groups, there's a lot of posturing that's going on and a lot of chest beating that's going on, where people are portraying a level of awesomeness that feels intimidating. And I tend to shut down in those kinds of groups, because sometimes success is not always measured by what's going on in your balance sheet. Success happens in a lot of different ways, including what happens in your balance sheet. And so one of the things that I really appreciate about this particular group is that it's not about the zeros and the commas. We don't start sentences with my 6-figure business, my 7-figure business, my 8-figure business. We talk about, are you liking the kind of business you're running, and do you still love the life that you have? Because there are a number of people that have really successful businesses and very unsuccessful relationships. There are people that have very successful businesses that have really ill health and are not able to enjoy the fruits of their labor. And so, you know, there was a situation where you had a situation where you fell down a flight of stairs and broke your wrist. What happened for you as a result of that? What kind of circle of support did you welcome when life truly did hit the fan for you?
I received so much care, so much advocacy. I even had some people who did a fundraiser, and Nancy and people in this group were also part of putting that out there. So I felt like, you know, anything that would have been fearful around how I had to stop because my arm was shattered, how I had to stop work, actually ended up being a very lucrative time, not just in terms of the fundraiser, but in terms of clients coming to me. So it was incredible to feel like I could, even though I wasn't going to be able to work in the ways in which I had anticipated, there was a sense of like, oh, well, here, why don't you do this, or help for just shoring me up. It felt like, again, it was really the breakdown of isolation. I think when something, you know, when something happens, when that fog comes in, it's really good to have that sense that you're not alone in this, and it just keeps the motivation going.
I will say that having been through some challenging times in my own life, when that happened for you, and we found out about the GoFundMe campaign to help give you some grace to heal, and we found out that almost everyone in the group contributed to the GoFundMe, and the total rose to somewhere in the neighborhood of $18,000. I know that a lot of clients in this group are having a great economic year, and their bookkeepers and accountants are smiling at them. But when I look back at something that makes me particularly proud, I think, isn't it wonderful that we came together as a community to support you during a really rough time, and that it ended up becoming a great blessing? And it's one of my fondest memories of things that have happened in this last year or so, that we were able to really put our, you know, our mission to the test. Do we care about people's lives and their businesses? Either we do or we don't. If we do, we're going to rise up and make something happen for one of our own. And we really did. And that, to me, is pretty hard to put a price on, you know?
Absolutely, 100%.
Anything further you want to say?
Yeah, Nancy is one of the most genuine and generous people that I've ever met. If you want to work with somebody who has true generosity of spirit, also true openness and vulnerability, but vulnerability as strength, not vulnerability as in take care of me, but vulnerability as strength. This is as people have been saying, it's an uncommon group to belong to. So if you're, again, on the fence, leap on over it. You will not regret it. I can guarantee it.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Vicki. And Amy, let's hear from you. Introduce yourself, please.
I am Amy Janice. I'm a wardrobe stylist and image innovator. I empower speakers, authors, coaches, and other experts and entrepreneurs to align their outer appearance with who they actually are, not who the world shaped them to be, and their message. So when everything is in alignment, you can be seen and heard in a brand new way. I met Nancy at an in-person event the same time that I met Mark Porteous, another member of the Inner Circle. And Mark was really gung-ho on telling me about all these lovely people in Nancy's community that I needed to meet because we would be aligned with business or we could help each other. And I connected with Nancy at that same event, and we got on a call afterwards, and she gave me a personal invitation to join the Inner Circle. And at the time, I was not so sure. In the back of my mind, I had been thinking, wouldn't it be cool to join a mastermind, amazing, supportive business people for more than just business talk, right? Because our lives are bigger than our businesses. When Nancy invited me, I was like, oh, I don't think I can do this. The timing isn't right, but I knew I had to figure out a way to make it happen, especially by our second conversation. Nancy's brilliance shines through in everything she does. She's an incredibly heart-centered person, and knowing that this group is small and intimate and curated in such a way that it is meant to encourage us in life and business has been phenomenal. I have welcomed visibility in the way of YouTube interviews, podcast interviews, tons of introductions that have led to more podcasts. Some of those have led to sales. I have welcomed new clients from inside and outside the group. Quality introductions for sure. Definitely received a ton of support through challenges, both business and personal. Nancy will somehow be at multiple places at the same time to be there for our webinars, or she'll go back and watch the recording and actually send notes on, okay, I really liked this, but not even but, and perhaps you could consider improving this part by doing such and such. It's always very welcoming, loving feedback, constructive criticism in the most loving way I've ever seen, as well as her unique way of wordsmithing. Being a writer and having that background for over 20 years, copywriting, doing all of those things, I feel like an infant when I look at Nancy's word wizardry. So that's helpful, but not only to myself, but even when we're working on someone else's gift or sales page or webinar, watching the way she reworks things, I always have these light bulbs like, oh, that was good. I have received unexpected private support from Nancy. She makes herself readily available to us in the most loving way. And I think one of the biggest things that I've received by being a part of this group is being able to watch Nancy lead in the way of action. She doesn't stand at the front of the room and say, look at me, I'm the leader. She goes out and advocates. And watching the way that she connects people and the way that she advocates for her tribe, it actually made me want to be a better person in personal and business life, in my personal and business life, because it made me want to advocate for other people more. I no longer walk into a room saying, who do I want to meet or who can help me grow? I walk in a room saying, okay, who can I connect people to? And because my business is a little bit younger than most of the others, sometimes I feel like I don't have enough value to provide. But I've started, or, they already know each other. They already know everything. And I've started realizing that that's not always the case, or sometimes a reintroduction can be helpful. But this has definitely been one of the top 3 business decisions that I've made, as well as the support personally when I have a tendency to retreat when things are not going well for me. And I haven't done that here. I have been held in a loving way and supported in a way that really was able to turn me around and accept that, because I've always struggled to accept that. So that's another one of those amazing things that's happened here. So if you are considering joining Love Your Life, Love Your Business, I don't even understand why you're still listening to this, because you should be going to say yes. You will not regret it.
Oh, that's so beautiful, Amy. Amy, this whole thing about struggling to receive, I think I've shared with you privately that I struggle with that too. So you can only imagine what I'm feeling right now, being on the receiving end of all this wonderful support today. But I want to just tip my hat to the example that you are setting, because what you give to others has a lasting impression. And there have been a couple of moments where I've had vulnerable moments of my own, and you've called me on a couple of things, and I thought to myself, damn, she just called me on my stuff. And it's like attracts like, but I think I've learned as much from you as I've tried to share with you. So thank you so much for showing up and being fully present and contributing in the way that you do.
I think too, oh, sorry.
Go
I
ahead.
wouldn't mind adding, I feel like we all have strengths and weaknesses, and we all have some sense of imposter syndrome or mindset issue. I mean, we all have it. It's human nature. But I feel like we are open and loving enough to accept each other's strengths and weaknesses, and that we also help fill those gaps from each other, even as simple as reviewing a lead magnet. And when you're too close to a project and someone else sees something and, hey, you can optimize it this way, or this is this is how I'm getting results and this is going really well for me. We don't take it in a negative way. We embrace that feedback because it's helping with one of our shortcomings, and we raise each other up and call each other out in a loving way of, some of the mindset little hurdles that we have, and we just raise each other. And I think that's a huge benefit.
Well, I agree. And so for those of you who are watching this video, you've just met the esteemed members of the Love Your Business, Love Your Life Inner Circle, and you've heard plenty about the manner in which I lead from the front and from the side. You've heard about the tangible and intangible benefits, and you've gotten a sense of whether or not this is a cool group of kids that you want to be part of. And if you are nodding your head and saying, I would really like to be part of this circle expansion, I have two suggestions for you. One is to visit getknowngetpaid.com/LYBLYL, which stands for Love Your Business, Love Your Life, because there's a beautiful invitation waiting for you there where you can luxuriate in what this is, why it matters, and how it could benefit you. And when you love what you read and you have a yes, yes, yes response in your body and your soul and your gut, then ask to book a call with me and we'll hop on a call and chat about it. And if it's a perfect fit, I would love to invite you to be part of it. And if you would like to potentially come to one of our sessions to experience it, we can certainly make arrangements for that too, because I know that your time and your money are very valuable assets and you want to make sure that the fit is right, and nothing is more important than the fit. But you've already met the people and you've met the fearless leader. And if you know it's a fit, well, we can't wait to welcome you. So thank you all for making these wonderful comments about your experience and your results, both tangible and intangible. I am incredibly grateful. I feel incredibly blessed to be on the journey with each and every one of you. And let's get on with the rest of our call.